Black Clover has been one of the rare constants in my life since it started airing in 2017. I remember watching the highly anticipated first episode in my old college apartment, which was 6 living spaces ago, and being wholly unimpressed. It felt aggressively generic shonen beyond just the normal shonen tropes that every show in that genre has, and into some weird Naruto One Piece fairy tale mashup of sorts. It certainly didn't help that it had been hyped to the moon prior to release, crowned the next big shonen, and came right on the tails of My Hero's massive Season 2 explosion. Add in the one thing most people probably know it for in the community, Asta's voice, and it wasn't the best debut. A lot of people checked it out, and a lot of people dropped it real quick. I suffer from the curse of refusing to drop shows, so I begrudgingly stuck around. And stuck around. And stuck around. And watched this show many had left for dead slowly evolve into not only its own distinct thing, but one of the best shows airing right now. If you've watched as much shonen as I have at this point, you know that most of these longer running shows don't exactly start off with a bang, but the Black Clover anime took longer than most. Other than the weird choices with filler mixed into early episodes, if there's one big flaw I think the show has early on, it's that it relies on the underdog stuff a bit too much. And that's coming from me, the shonen guy. Magic is everything. Asta doesn't have magic. He's a peasant. Nobles don't like peasants. Rinse and repeat for 30 episodes. Combine that with the subpar production and it's not the easiest watch in the world for a decent amount of time. So I'm not saying people shouldn't have dropped this show in year 1. If anything, there are real reasons for people to have done that beyond Asta's voice. But the pacing is lightning fast, and that's the show's saving grace in the early period. Sure, there's a fight against a pretty rough looking CGI bad guy, but at least it's not 25 episodes long. The show kicks into gear after the first arc and never looks back. With every new arc, the characters get more fleshed out, the battles get more intricate, and more importantly, the production quality improves. It looks so good compared to where it was in 2017, and has covered so much ground in just under 130 episodes, it's kind of crazy. And all of it's canon. The thing that has maybe impressed me the most happened very recently in the show, where the arc that the show had essentially been building towards since the beginning reached its climax. And that entire arc was very good, but somehow despite incredible escalation, the series still left itself plenty of room to grow and move forward. It's very hard to do that successfully in any long-running show, see post-Pain arc Naruto. So if I wasn't already impressed with Yuki Tabata's writing, I certainly am now. And it took until this moment for me to actually be confident enough to recommend Black Clover to other people, because I understand that it takes 30 episodes to start getting good is a hard sell for most people. But if you are willing to put in that work, here's what's waiting for you. Right off the bat, all the character designs are clean as hell. From the main cast of the Magical Knight Captains to just random villains, the amount of distinct and memorable designs throughout this show is remarkable. And while many character designs might seem simplistic as they are just based around type of magic, often the color scheme at least, this simplicity proves very helpful in a show with an ever-expanding cast. The magic system has rules, but also there aren't really any rules, and that's metal as hell. Oftentimes it reminds me of Nen from Hunter x Hunter, just without any of the intricate restrictions. There are natural Pokemon-esque counters to every type of magic, but mages make their magic their own, and from what I can tell, can create any type of spell as long as it sticks to their attribute. Which for some is fire or water or wind, but the actual diversity is off the charts. There's time magic, mercury magic, dark magic, spirit magic, mirror magic, dream magic, anti-magic. Just think of a word and put it in front of magic and it probably exists in Black Clover. There are so many different techniques and skills and abilities that I cannot give you a comprehensive breakdown of all the magic right now unless you really want to spend 20 minutes watching me talk about Black Clover, so you'll just have to trust me here. It's really cool and it makes every big fight unique. Finally, Black Clover continues to shine in the ever-elusive side character market. One of the benefits of fast pacing is that the show is able to just rotate characters in and out of arcs and fights, and it gives close to the entire main cast meaningful interactions and hype moments. Sure, there are still Black Bulls that you're going to spend more time with than others, aka Noelle, but still every character is given their development and their time to shine. It's rare that there are this many characters that I feel like I at least know a decent amount about and care for. They build up all these characters and then just let them interact with each other, which I don't think a lot of shows do well enough. If you're going to spend all this time developing personalities, now show me two unrelated characters that I like fighting together, or just talking. Just something, please. As I've said before, I'm always a sucker for the shonen underdog story, and I think Asta covers that quite well. But when Black Clover is at its best, it's showing characters on equal footing. And that's my actual final point about this show. It would have been so easy for Asta and Yuno's relationship to just be Sasuke 2.0, or yet another moody genius who's mean. But to have a rivalry where both characters really want to one-up each other, but also deeply care about their friendship is really refreshing. And it's not the only part of the show that makes me feel like that. Watching side characters continue to be important and not become the Naruto cast. Seeing a main character emotionally vulnerable, having some consequences to the injuries characters take during fights. Sure, if you want to boil Black Clover down to its most basic components, it does look a lot like many other shonens that have come before it. But nearly 3 years in now, I think that's a little unfair. The show is more than its premise and has been able to carve out its own identity in a very crowded genre. It's worth giving a chance, and maybe you'll even fall in love with these characters like I did. So that's all well and good, but I hear you're still being skeptical of having to wade through the start of this show just to get to the greatness. And, well, honestly, the solution here, if you're not down the clown with the up and down production, is to read the manga. And I don't say that lightly. You keep the story and the pacing, but lose the odd early series animation. Just make sure you come back to watch some of the later fights and all of the anime openings. But for my shonen anime brethren, or anyone else looking for a decently long binge, you're doing yourself a disservice not watching Black Clover. It's so good now that I can proudly, publicly say that I love this show and cannot wait to see where it takes us in the future.